In her previous life, the class beauty with psychological issues failed the college entrance exam. To seek psychological balance, she tricked her entire class into joining her on a group trip when filling out their college applications. Youth comes only once. Our 18th year happens just once. Her boyfriend Jude Chen also chimed in, egging everyone on. Isla barely managed to persuade the travel agency to give us a discounted group ticket for all 30 classmates. Not a single one could be missing. Due to a sudden heavy rain triggering a mudslide, they were trapped in the mountainous area for a full 2 weeks, in the final half hour before the college application deadline. I, the only one in class who didn't join the trip, received messages from all my classmates asking me to help submit their applications. But the application website crashed, and I couldn't submit a single one for them. They returned from the disaster area and blamed all the faults on me. I was conspired against and killed by them. When I opened my eyes again, I had reincarnated to the day when the class beauty invited everyone to go on a group trip. This time, I was the first to raise my hand. Monitor, I want to go. Jude Chen is my boyfriend and also the class monitor of our class. Just moments ago, he was shouting, not a single classmate can be left behind. Yet when I was the first to sign up, he froze in surprise. Lenny GU, are you sure you want to participate? Not only did he find it strange, but the other classmates were also surprised, because the impression I gave in class was always that of a top student who only liked to immerse themselves in books, the kind of person who wouldn't even step out during holidays, doing nothing but staying at home. No one could believe that I was actually willing to go on a trip with them. In my previous life, I was exactly as they imagined. I refused to participate. Not only did they refuse to participate, but they also earnestly advised them to stay at home and fill out their college application forms properly. But instead of being grateful, they all lashed out at me with harsh words. You don't want to go yourself, so you're trying to stop us from going too. What's wrong with you? The class rep looks like that. Of course she doesn't like to go out and show her face. The class beauty takes photos at scenic spots that look like promotional shots. While someone like the class rep could scare off netizens just by checking in, I pushed up the heavy glasses on my face, curled the corner of my lips, and chuckled softly. Though I wished to buy Osmanthus and wine as before, I'm no longer the carefree youth of yore. I think classmate Isla Lin is right. Our youth comes only once. The class beauty standing beside Jude Chen had an expression that shifted from surprise to excitement. In my past life, after being cruelly murdered in a plot by my entire class, I became a wandering spirit. I lingered around the class beauty and discovered a secret about her. The class beauty suffers from a very peculiar psychological disorder that causes her to have difficulty concentrating. Due to the impact of this disorder, she performed poorly in the college entrance exam, scoring only a little over 300 points, which wasn't even enough to get into the worst vocational college in our city. The class I'm in is a top-tier class. In this year's college entrance exam, except for the class beauty, all the other students scored above the first-tier university admission line. Jude Chen, as the class monitor, collected everyone's grades, but the class beauty's score was falsely reported. In other words, right now, apart from me who was reborn, no one in the class knows that she only scored 300 points. The class beauty was extremely resentful. She learned from a mysterious online friend that the mountainous areas of City G might experience landslides in the coming days due to heavy rainfall. When that happens, those areas will experience power outages and internet disruptions. To drag the whole class down with her and to hide the embarrassing fact that she only scored 300 points, she tricked the entire class into joining her for a group trip to the mountainous area of City G, perfectly missing the college application deadline. Seeing me being the first to sign up, many classmates quickly raised their hands to join, but just like in the previous life, some classmates raised doubts. But aren't we supposed to fill out college applications soon? The class beauty replied with a pitiful tone. This group tour only takes 3 days. And we have 5 days to fill out our college applications. Right, I think the timing is perfect. It took me a lot of effort and connections to negotiate this deal for everyone. If we miss this opportunity, the price next time will be double. Most of our classmates come from average family backgrounds and don't get many chances to travel. The class beauty's words had already won them over. Jude Chen quickly chimed in to support her. Isla scored over 650, and she's not even worried. What are you all panicking about? The students below the stage were stunned. Over 650, you actually scored that high. A cold smile hung at the corner of my lips, but I remained silent. The class beauty's expression turned somewhat awkward as she hastily changed the subject. These are the scenic photos I prepared for everyone. Take a look first, and if you like them and want to go, you can sign up anytime. On the classroom projector, one breathtaking photo after another flashed by, endless seas of clouds, golden mountains bathed in sunlight, crystal clear waters against azure skies. It's absolutely breathtaking. Of course it's beautiful. The filters are so heavily applied. But the students couldn't help but love it, and the last trace of hesitation in their hearts vanished. They all started signing up with Jude Chen. Seeing her classmates so enthusiastic, the class beauty curled her lips in a satisfied smile. As for me, I was also extremely pleased. The day the tour group departed was also the first day for filling out college applications. Jude Chen, as my boyfriend, not only failed to offer to carry my luggage but also took the initiative to carry the class beauty's bags. Actually, I knew he had a crush on the class beauty long before the college entrance exams. Heaven is fair. It gave me intelligence but left me lacking in emotional intelligence. When it comes to academics, I could easily outshine Jude Chen by a mile. But in terms of emotional intelligence, I was the one being completely outmatched. The only reason I ended up dating Jude Chen was because he wanted me to tutor him. It's just that I have a dull personality and enjoy immersing myself in my own world. Only by continuously breaking through my emotional defenses could he truly gain my trust, allowing me to teach him wholeheartedly. Setting aside Jude Chen's inner selfishness and hypocrisy, he was actually quite a good boyfriend material. He would proactively fetch hot water for me in winter. And during those days when I wasn't feeling well, he would personally bring meals to the classroom for me. He was gentle and considerate towards me, leading me to fall deeper step by step. In return, I shared with him my unique learning techniques. With my help, Jude Chen improved his scores by dozens of points in just half a year. From barely meeting the minimum score for a first-tier university, he leaped to achieving results good enough for a top 985 institution. Of course, my role in his life would at most last until the end of the college entrance exams. In my previous life, on the night of our class trip, he broke up with me, saying it was to avoid affecting my future. I was actually quite sad, but I thought he had a point. After all, the university I got into was beyond his reach. In my previous life, not only did the class beauty lie about her grades, but I also lied about mine. I scored 698, a score high enough to get into Tsinghua or Peking University. My father is a very cautious person. He was afraid someone might be jealous of my score and sabotage my college application. He had been watching a lot of short videos about such incidents during that time. He specifically reminded me repeatedly not to reveal my actual grades to others and to wait until everything was settled before making them public. I followed his advice and told Jude Chen that I only scored a little over 630. Dad was right after all. There really are quite a few people in this world who envy me and wish me harm. Neither he nor I had anticipated that some people are not just despicable, but downright malicious. In our previous lives, by the time our entire class was successfully rescued from the disaster zone by the rescue team, the deadline for submitting college applications had long passed. Among all my classmates, except for me, no one had their college applications submitted. When they came to my house to settle scores with me, coincidentally, my admission letters from Tsinghua and Peking University arrived. Jealousy distorts people beyond recognition. They hated me to the core. Not only did they tear my admission letter to shreds in the chaos, but that very night, they lured me out in secret and brutally murdered me. Isn't the class monitor your boyfriend? Why is he only helping the class beauty with her luggage and not you? The one who spoke up for me was my deskmate, Marsha, whom I had always considered my best friend in class. If I didn't have the memory of being killed by my entire class in my past life, I might have believed she was genuinely looking out for me. But in that past life, she was the one who led the charge in tearing up my admission letter. I placed the backpack from my shoulders onto the luggage rack. Marsha curled her lips in mockery and sneered. No wonder the class monitor didn't want to carry your luggage. Why would you bring such an ugly bag? It's heavy and hideous. If I were your boyfriend, I wouldn't want to carry it for you either. This is my dad's. There wasn't enough time, so I couldn't be bothered to buy a new one. Just make do with it. I casually made up an excuse to brush it off. Everyone else was pulling stylish and convenient suitcases, so when they saw me carrying this heavy, ugly old military-style backpack, their eyes were full of disdain. But what they didn't know was, when encountering heavy rain and floods, not only would their suitcases become impossible to drag through the water, but they'd also get soaked by the rain. As for my bag, though it may be ugly, it's practical. Just sling it on and go. Not only convenient but waterproof too. On the first day, our destination was to witness the Golden Mountain sunrise from a high peak. Unfortunately, our luck wasn't great. Though the distant mountains were layered and majestic, they didn't live up to the spectacular scenes touted by the travel agency. The sky was overcast with dark clouds, making the entire view unbearably gloomy. It was completely different from the beautiful images our class flower had shown everyone back in class. The heavy rain started just as we were coming down the mountain. The atmosphere in the car was heavy, and everyone was deeply disappointed at not seeing the beautiful scenes they had imagined. Watching the sky grow increasingly dark, I couldn't help but feel a bit more tense. It wasn't until the car stopped in front of the homestay booked for us by the travel agency, and I received a message on my phone, that I finally relaxed completely. The travel agency booked us a simple homestay, though everyone looked displeased. After a full day's journey, they were too exhausted to search for another place in the heavy rain. This was a very remote village, surrounded by towering green mountains. The travel agency arranged standard twin rooms for us, with 2 people sharing each. The moment I opened the door, a message popped up on my phone screen. A breakup message from Jude Chen. Lenny GU, let's break up. I think at our age, we should focus on studying. After all, the universities we aspire to attend are too far apart, one in the south, the other in the north. There's no need to continue this relationship, and I don't want to hold you back. Every word seemed sincere, yet it perfectly revealed his selfishness. But this was actually my intention as well. After replying with a simple okay, I turned off the screen. The heavy rain poured all night, and at 4 in the morning, the sound of the rain woke me up. When I looked out the window, the courtyard of the guest house was already deeply flooded. Having not experienced it firsthand in my previous life, I was still a bit worried. I wondered if it was because of my rebirth that many things in this life had also changed somewhat. For example, in my previous life, the travel agency had arranged for them to stay not in this guest house but in a town further ahead. Memories from my past life suddenly flooded my mind, and I remembered, the village we're staying in is the one that will be hit by a mudslide this very morning. Recalling the news I had seen in my past life, I rushed to knock on the driver's door. After my insistent pleas, he agreed to set off early. Then, the driver woke up all the classmates one by one from their dreams. As we left the guest house, I kindly urged the owner to call the village chief and organize the evacuation of the villagers. In my haste to leave, I didn't know whether the village chief had actually gone to inform the villagers or not, but this was all I could do. As the travel agency's vehicle smoothly drove away from the village that was about to be buried by a mudslide, the tension in my heart finally eased a little. However, my classmates, who had to wake up early because of me, started making a fuss one after another. I don't know what the class monitor is so worried about. Why did they have to make us get up so early? Yeah, exactly. It rains like this every year. How could it be as serious as the monitor says? And a mudslide, how is that possible? Never even heard of such a thing. If we actually run into that kind of bad luck, I'll treat everyone to lottery tickets when we get back. Many of my classmates were grumpy from being woken up early, forced to set out before dawn because of me. They all directed their complaints and frustrations straight at me. The class beauty's psychological issues were somewhat triggered by everyone's noisy commotion. She disliked me the most because among all the classmates, I was the top performer academically and also the most consistent one. What do you mean? Are you blaming me? She glared at me coldly and said. Jude Chen looked at me with disgust, defending the class beauty. Isla, just ignore her. Some people just can't stand to see others doing well. If you have the ability to offer everyone such a great discount on the trip, it shows how outstanding you are. Not only financially savvy but also socially capable. It's normal for some to be jealous of you. That's right, Isla. Lenny GU is just picking a fight. You kindly arranged this trip for us, but some people just bite the hand that feeds them. They can't stand seeing you so capable and feel unbalanced. Isla Lin is the prettiest girl in our class. with a cheerful personality and a love for socializing. She also gets along well with the teachers, unlike me, the class monitor, who's always nagging everyone to hand in assignments they don't want to submit. Many classmates in our class are Isla Lin's admirers. Under Jude Chen's leadership, her followers echoed each other, all turning to denounce me. They could turn white into black with their words. It's not even dawn yet, and they've already woken us up. What a bunch of lunatics. Saving a truckload of animals was indeed my mistake. But what could I do? I had to survive. They were getting more and more worked up. And Jude Chen got so carried away that he even started attacking my college entrance exam score, still acting like you know everything. Huh, so impressive, yet you only scored a little over 630, while Isla got over 650. I turned my head slightly and said, not too loudly but clearly enough for everyone in the car to hear, who said I only scored a little over 630. Jude Chen was stunned. Isn't that the score you reported yourself? I pretended to suddenly realize and loudly explained. I had my cousin check my score for me. She wanted to surprise me and lied, saying it was 632, but I actually got 698. Forgot to tell you. Jude Chen stared at me with wide eyes and an open mouth, completely stunned, the moment my score was announced. The class beauty's gaze turned so cold it could have frozen ice. Amid the silence, someone took a sharp breath and whispered in astonishment, 698. That's enough to get into Tsinghua or Peking University, someone in the car suddenly exclaimed. Why is there no internet? The usually silent driver suddenly spoke up. Damn it, there must have been another landslide in the northern mountains. The signal tower must have been destroyed, and the road is definitely closed. Someone asked with a trembling voice, road closure, can we still get out? The driver shook his head and said, this place is too remote. With the road damaged, it'll take at least a week before we can leave. The classmates who had been aggressive toward me earlier fell silent, but the class beauty was extremely satisfied. She happened to be sitting right behind me, leaning over with a tone full of smugness as she said, no matter how well you scored, what's the point if you didn't fill out your college applications? You still won't get into university. Feigning surprise, I turned around and replied loudly enough for everyone on the bus to hear, who said I didn't fill out my applications. At that moment, everyone on the bus seemed to hold their breath. My cousin is also a top student. She just got into Tsinghua or Peking University last year. On the night before the tour group departed, I asked her to fill out my college entrance exam preferences for me. On the first day of preference submission, she completed it for me early in the morning. I showed the screenshot she sent me yesterday confirming the successful submission of my preferences to the class beauty. She completely lost her temper, shouting without even trying to hide it. How is that possible? You've been with us the whole time. How could you have already filled it out? I secretly gloated, curling the corner of my mouth, pretending to be calm as I said, my cousin is really enthusiastic. When she heard I was going on a trip, she insisted on filling out the application for me. Jude Chen, sitting nearby, couldn't hold back either. Frowning, he questioned me, you have a cousin? I've never heard you mention her. Are you lying? My cousin also went to Tsinghua or Peking University. Her major involves classified information, so of course I can't just talk about her casually. Hearing that my family actually had 2 graduates from Tsinghua and Peking University, Xiaohua's expression grew even more unpleasant, but before she could continue picking on me, with a bang, the tour bus we were on suddenly stalled. Everyone became anxious in a flurry. Driver, what's wrong? The driver frowned and replied, the rain is too heavy, and the water on the ground is too deep. The car's engine must have gotten flooded. It's broken. Cries and shouts immediately erupted inside the car. Crying, crying, crying. What's the use of crying? Get off the car quickly. There's a town not far ahead. Since the car is broken now, we'll have to walk there. The driver shouted into the car. The sound of everyone's crying and shouting had quieted down a bit, but no one moved. I let out a cold laugh, stood up calmly, and took out the raincoat and rain boots I had prepared in advance from my bag. After putting them on, I carried my luggage and left the bus without looking back. The water on the ground was already severe, reaching up to the calves. Seeing me get off the bus, the classmates on board couldn't stay seated any longer. They grabbed their luggage and followed me down, but their suitcases were stuck in the floodwater, impossible to drag outside. The weather was relentless. torrential rain and howling winds, holding umbrellas with one hand and pulling suitcases with the other, they could barely move an inch. I traveled light, striding forward unhindered with the bag they scorned for being ugly. A mere kilometer of road took them a full hour to navigate. The suitcase couldn't be dragged through the water, but unwilling to abandon their luggage, they had no choice but to lift it with both hands and walk through the torrential rain. I quickly found the homestay that the travel agency had arranged for us in town. I waited in the guesthouse lobby for over half an hour before the whole class finally stumbled in, bustling and looking utterly disheveled. The class beauty had her luggage carried by Jude Lee, her devoted admirer, so she didn't appear the least bit disheveled, but the rest of the classmates were all drenched like drowned rats. Especially Jude Lee, who was hauling 2 suitcases single-handedly, not a single spot on him left dry. As the cold wind blew, he stood there shivering uncontrollably. Seeing me standing there full of energy, Martha said enviously, "Lenny Gu, you really had foresight. Carrying a backpack is so much more convenient than dragging a suitcase." The class beauty sneered from the side, "What's so great about a backpack? She might look like nothing's wrong. But everything inside must be soaked from the rain." The classmates who had just been admiring me quickly turned their envious gazes into looks of disdain. Indeed, although a suitcase is cumbersome, it at least offers some protection against the rain. Under their gleeful gazes, I calmly explained, "My bag is waterproof." The class beauty's face turned as dark as the bottom of a pot. Exhausted from the morning, they no longer had the energy to argue with me and all retreated to their rooms to rest. For several consecutive days, the relentless heavy rain trapped us all inside the guest house, with floodwater even reaching the lobby. The internet was down, and the power was out, with just half a day left before the deadline for submitting our college applications. In the final hour before the application deadline, the internet in the guest house finally came back on. Led by the class beauty and Lee Jude, the whole class knocked on my door. "What brings you here, class rep? We want your help with filling out our college applications." Moshe spoke up on behalf of the students, stating their purpose. I frowned and replied, "How can I help you fill it out? I don't even have a computer." Lee Jude loudly explained, "We know you don't, but your dad does. Call your dad now and have him help us fill it out." I couldn't help but laugh. I've seen shameless people before, but never anyone this brazen. The class beauty smirked from the side, fanning the flames as if watching a joke unfold. "Isn't your dad the one who runs an internet cafe? He must have plenty of computers. Let him figure out a way to help us fill in the forms. At worst, we'll all chip in some money for him." The classmates chimed in one after another. Yeah, you're the class rep. You can't possibly refuse to help with such a small favor." "Right, exactly. Don't you usually love bossing us around?" "In my past life, this was exactly how it happened. The class beauty came up with this sneaky idea to set me up. Just because my dad owns an internet cafe, they unreasonably demanded that we help them fill out their college applications. Excluding me, the entire class had a total of 29 people who hadn't filled out their applications. They expected me to complete the college applications for all 29 of them in just half an hour. How could this be? And in the last half hour, the system crashed. Even if they flew home to fill them out themselves now, there was no way they could submit them. To avoid repeating past mistakes, I specifically joined their travel group this time, thinking that if I were trapped with them in the disaster area, they wouldn't be able to make things difficult for me. But I never expected that the class beauty, that bitch, would actually set her sights on my dad. Looking back on my 3 years in high school, although I was somewhat quiet and reserved, I never offended her, did I? Just because of pure jealousy. How could she go so far as to frame me like this? "My dad isn't home," I replied coldly. Jude Chen's face darkened. "Where else could your dad possibly go if he's not minding your family's shop? You're actually lying to us just to avoid helping." I laughed in sheer anger. Where my dad goes is his own business, no one else's concern, and I certainly don't owe you any reports on his whereabouts. Besides, my dad isn't well educated. Even if he were home, he couldn't help you with the forms. What about your cousin then? Isn't she at Tsinghua or Peking University grad? Get her to fill them out for us. The guest house has internet now but still no electricity. Everyone's phones had long run out of battery, except for mine and the class beauty's phones. Everyone else's devices were completely dead. They had no way to contact their families to help them fill out their college applications. As for the class beauty, her parents had passed away early, and she was raised by her grandparents, who didn't know how to use electronic devices at all, not to mention helping with filling out the application forms. So now, I am the only possible savior they can count on, seeing that the application deadline is about to pass. They are all acting like mad dogs, under their bloodshot, almost cannibalistic gazes. I said word by word, my cousin has gone to participate in a research activity, and all their communication devices have been handed in. I can't reach her. Someone scoffed in disbelief. Ha tilde, what a coincidence. Then tell us, what kind of research activity was it? I replied coldly, it's classified. If you really want to know, go ask the National Security and Secrecy Bureau. The person who challenged me looked as if they'd swallowed a fly. I glanced at my wrist. Only 20 minutes remained before the deadline for college application submissions. You have time to pester me here, but you'd be better off thinking of other solutions. I'm really sorry, but there's nothing I can do. Under their stunned gazes, I forcefully slammed the door shut. Just like in my previous life, not a single classmate, except for me, managed to successfully fill out their college entrance exam applications. What a waste of such good scores. The rescue teams have gradually entered the town that trapped us, although the main road out hasn't been cleared yet. Volunteers, rescue teams, and journalists have already arrived. The day after the college entrance exam applications ended, the rescue team directed our evacuation from the guest house. When I opened the door and stepped out of the guest house, the lobby was filled with classmates. Because of missing the college application submission, everyone's expressions were extremely grim. Some were hugging each other and crying, others were kicking chairs in frustration. As the only student in the class who successfully submitted my application, the looks they shot at me were like sharp knives. Are you happy now? None of us can go to college anymore. As I walked over, the class beauty turned her verbal fire toward me again. What does it matter to me whether you get into college or not? Why should I care? And even if you all apply, it wouldn't pose any threat to me getting into Tsinghua or Peking University. My words struck right at their hearts. The other classmates in the class immediately started firing back at me, but this time around, I'm not afraid at all. After all, with so many people around and a central media outlet broadcasting the rescue efforts live in the distance, they wouldn't dare do anything to me. Hearing the commotion from our side, the media crew that was live streaming immediately turned their camera toward us. Classmates, what are you arguing about? The reporter asked curiously, seeing the media point their live camera at us. The class beauty's eyes lit up. She opened her big, pitiful eyes and tearfully sobbed into the live stream camera, because the class committee member refused to help, except for her. None of our classmates' college applications were submitted. We can't go to university anymore. Woo woo. The live chat exploded instantly. What's going on here? The whole class can't go to college. Which school's students are these? So unlucky. Who on earth is their class study committee member? How can they be this awesome? Seeing her successfully capture public attention, the other classmates felt a glimmer of hope. What's done is done. They missed the college application deadline. But if the whole class united to stir up enough public outrage, they might still get the Education Bureau to open a special channel for them, led by the class beauty. They all shifted the blame for missing the application deadline onto me. It's her. It's definitely her, our class's study committee member. She's the reason we couldn't submit our college applications. A classmate pointed at me and yelled. Though fury burned through me, I forced myself to stay calm. You couldn't submit your applications because of the heavy rain and floods that cut off power and internet. It had nothing to do with me. Jude Lee's quick-witted mind immediately grasped the key point and turned the accusation towards me. It's her. Her family owns an internet cafe with many computers. Clearly, she could have asked her dad to help us fill out our college applications, but he demanded an exorbitant fee. We couldn't afford it, so... Seeing how convincing and attention-grabbing his reasoning was, the crowd quickly joined in. Yes, it's her fault. The barrage of comments in the live stream scrolled by at a rate of thousands per second. Within just a few minutes, the live stream attracted millions of viewers. Seeing the massive traffic we brought, the reporter hosting the live stream excitedly turned the camera toward me. Are there still such despicable people in our country? Aren't we classmates? How can you stand by and watch someone die? How can you be so selfish? Where's the internet cafe her dad owns? I'm going to throw rotten eggs at it." Amid the online criticism, I calmly took out my phone and played the recording of them causing trouble with me yesterday. "Think I'm a pushover? You've already gotten me killed once. Did you really think I'd fall for your trap again?" After listening to the recording I played, which was extremely unfriendly to other classmates, the attitude of the netizens in the live stream completely reversed. There's actually a twist. This class representative looks like a top student at first glance. These bookworms with thick glasses usually only care about books and wouldn't have so many malicious thoughts. That girl crying over there may be pretty, but judging by her outfit and vibe, she seems like such a green tea, fake innocent type. I've never seen such shameless people, and a whole group of them at that. It feels like their class representative's entire family owes them something. How could they make such outrageous demands of others and still feel completely justified, acting all high and mighty? Seeing the shift in the online comments, the class beauty immediately started defending herself. "No, that's not it. It's her fault we missed filling out our applications. Think about it. How could it be such a coincidence that out of our entire class, only she managed to submit her application while the rest of us didn't? How could you all go on a trip so carelessly at such a critical time? You totally deserve this." A sudden comment in the live stream caught Lee Jude's attention. His mind raced, and he pointed at me, shouting, "It's her. She's the one who persuaded us to go on this trip. She told us to wait until after the trip to fill out our college applications. But she secretly had someone help her submit hers early. She did it on purpose. She knew there would be a heavy storm here, trapping us with no way out." The dogs behind him barked in agreement. "Yeah, it was her who kept saying in class, 'Let's buy Osman thus and share wine together, for youth's joy will never return.' She convinced the whole class to come. She must have known about the impending flood and heavy rain here. Otherwise, how could she have prepared so thoroughly with waterproof bags, raincoats, and rain boots?" The live stream audience once again shifted their trust and support to their side. After hearing this, it really seems like the class representative did it on purpose. How can there be so many coincidences? If it's true that the class representative organized everyone to go on a group trip while filling out college applications, she's really quite scheming. Some of the classmates began to cry. "Woo-woo, we didn't even want to come in the first place. It was the class monitor who forced us to come." Seeing everyone turn their accusations toward me again, the class beauty smiled with satisfaction. She looked at me smugly, her eyes filled with gloating, but I didn't let her stay happy for long. I immediately played another recording, slapping them in the face with a resounding smack, with the tragic experiences from my past life. I was especially cautious after being reborn. Every second I interacted with my classmates, I made sure to leave behind evidence. On the day the college entrance exam results were released, I played the recording of the entire process where the class beauty and Jude Chen had urged everyone to go on a group trip. Then, looking straight into the live broadcast camera, I boldly declared without fear, I did say, "I wish to buy Osman thus and share wine, but it's never the same as in youth." But I was only expressing my own philosophy of life. I never meant to encourage anyone. Moreover, I was merely repeating what our class monitor and Isla Lin had suggested. I reminded my classmates in class that they could seek help with their college applications, but they ignored it and dismissed my advice. Tell me, what exactly did I do wrong? The number of viewers flooding into the live stream had already surpassed 10 million. The barrage filled the entire screen. Amazing, amazing. Except for this class representative, the rest of your class should just skip college and go into acting. They're performing so well. This class representative is truly suffering. How could she be so unlucky to encounter such a bunch of ghostly classmates? I take back my earlier words about throwing rotten eggs at the class representative's father. I want to throw them at the face of this class monitor and this student named Isla Lin. The class beauty panicked, and cold sweat broke out on the foreheads of all the classmates. What should they do? They've essentially picked up a rock only to drop it on their own feet. And they still expect the Education Bureau to grant them special privileges. If this public opinion gets amplified by netizens, they might not even find a school willing to accept them for a repeat year. These students who've mastered the art of lying, in the midst of the chaos, someone suddenly blurted out, "So you did lie. Your dad could have helped us after all. It's true that you refused to save us when we were in dire straits, isn't it? A single spark can start a prairie fire." The classmates, who had almost given up hope, quickly found a new angle of attack. If they couldn't target me, then targeting my dad would do just fine. If my dad's reputation was ruined, my good days would be over too, but they didn't know. This was exactly the moment I had been waiting for, in my previous life. After they caused my death, my father went to confront them, but the entire class ganged up to shift the blame onto us. They went live, claiming it was all because my father and I had turned a cold shoulder and refused to help, which led to them all failing to submit their college applications. They even tearfully declared in front of the camera that although they couldn't attend college, they had all forgiven me. After all, I had already died in an accident. The dead should be respected. Outraged and misinformed netizens cyberbullied my father, doxed him, and some even went as far as harassing and verbally abusing him in real life. In the end, my father couldn't bear the double blow of losing his daughter and the relentless personal attacks from the internet, and he chose to end his life by hanging himself. And what about my dear classmates? They all repeated the year together, and the class beauty even recovered from her mental illness because of my death. A year later, they all performed better in the exams and got into top-tier universities. Meanwhile, my father and I lie in the cold ground, forever deprived of sunlight. Pain, such unbearable pain. Given a second chance at life, I won't just humiliate them. I'll make sure they face the consequences they deserve, amidst the furious scolding from the entire class. I calmly pulled out my phone and flipped to a news photo. This is a disaster relief photo published just yesterday on the official website of the media outlet currently live streaming to us. The heavy rainstorm has affected vast areas of the southern region. Not only is there flooding in this mountainous area we're visiting, but many other places across the country are also affected. And my dad, at this very moment, is participating in disaster relief efforts in the mountainous area of the city next to ours. I turned my phone screen towards the live stream camera. It was a photo of rescuers aiding disaster victims in a torrential downpour. In the picture, a tall middle-aged man, dressed in the standard camouflage uniform of the Chinese military, was carrying an elderly man with mobility issues through waist-deep floodwaters, heading towards a relief tent. The scene captured in the photo was incredibly moving. That's right, that man was my father. With immense pride, I loudly declared to the camera, "This is my father. He arrived at the disaster zone early yesterday morning to participate in flood relief and rescue efforts." Behind me, a sharp sound pierced the sky. "How is that possible? You're lying. Your dad is clearly just a small-time internet cafe owner." With a cold smile on my lips, I silently picked up my phone and called my dad on video. The video connected quickly. On the other side of the screen, my dad happened to be on a break. A man who looked exactly like the one in that news photo appeared on my phone screen. "Lenny, how are things over there? Have all the disaster victims here been successfully relocated?" I replied softly, "Dad, many soldier uncles have arrived here too. We're all safe. Don't worry." "Good, that's good. That's good then." Father said they had been busy since early yesterday morning, and after urging him to rest well, I ended the video call. All the classmates present heard it, and every netizen in the live stream saw it clearly. I turned my head and stared at these classmates who were eager to see me dead, declaring firmly, "I did not lie. My father is an honorable retired soldier. Return when called upon is the glorious duty of every soldier. My father is not a coward who refuses to save a life. If any of you dare to insult him again, we'll have to settle this in court." Everyone fell silent. Yet the live stream screen erupted with activity, awash in a sea of crimson as netizens flooded it with national flag emojis. How dare they insult someone with such a status? They must not be afraid of going to jail. This is so touching. I'm going to lay flowers at the veterans' internet cafe her family runs. These bastards actually used us as their pawns. We almost wronged a good person. The classmates in the class were speechless. To save face, they all started apologizing to me. "Class rep, we're really sorry. We misunderstood you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Uncle is truly great. It's our fault." After all, he had studied for a few days and knew how to weigh the importance of things. My father and I have always adhered to the principle of keeping a low profile in both conduct and actions, but they went too far. When we arrived home safely, the admission letters from Tsinghua and Peking University arrived, just like in my previous life. Those incredibly resourceful netizens still managed to dig up the address of the internet cafe my father owned, But what was different this time was that outside our shop, instead of foul-smelling rotten eggs, there were fragrant bouquets of flowers and thank you letters. As for the classmates from Class 6, Grade 12, who couldn't smear me with dirt in this life, they turned their attention to the travel agency. Led by Lee Jude, they stormed into the travel agency and caused a scene. The travel agency directly threw a stack of consent forms and liability waivers that the class beauty had tricked them into signing right in their faces. The reason the tour group the class beauty signed them up for was so cheap wasn't because she had connections at all. It was entirely because the travel agency knew there would be heavy rain during those days, and no one would book tours to the mountainous area, hence the special discount. At that moment, the entire class realized they had been scammed by the class beauty. As the class monitor, Jude Chen had access to the class beauty's personal information, encouraged by Marsha. They used her details to look up her college entrance exam scores. Upon learning that she had only scored 300 points, everyone suddenly understood. Outraged classmates stormed to the class beauty's home, causing a commotion, and in the ensuing altercation, they accidentally injured her elderly grandparents, and the class beauty completely lost her mind. All of them, having reached the age of 18, ended up in jail. I held my admission letter and happily dragged the suitcase my dad had just bought for me to report to Tsinghua University. The warm, brilliant sunlight bathed me as I joyfully shouted toward the distant sky, "Mom, I got into college, Dad raised me well, you take care up there too."